Hello and welcome back. In the last session, we were exploring various tools that helped us to identify the various elements in the structural model and obtain information about them. In this session too, we would continue to explore similar options that would help us achieve the same. But before we do that, please take a moment to hit the subscribe button and join us in this wonderful journey of learning structural analysis with STAAD.Pro. So we have on the screen the goalpost frame that we had created. By default, the view is isometric. So to view the frame from the front, we go to the view option and click on the front view. You should by now start getting comfortable with this various view option. Now you also know that the mouse pointer by default acts as the beam cursor, which is used to select beams. If you have any question on this, you could visit our past video where we have discussed this. We have discussed both beam cursor and the node cursor. The beam cursor is used for selecting beams and node cursor is used for selecting nodes. Now, let us take this beam cursor over member number 1 and double click on it. We would see that a box has popped up with some information about the beam. You would also see that the beam that has been double clicked on is now highlighted in red. Now this box that has popped up is called the member query box. You should remember this term so that you do not get confused if I happen to mention this in any of our future sessions. Now let us look closely at this member query box. We would see that there are 3 tabs in the member query box. The geometry is open by default. You have a property tab and a loading tab. Now you do not see any information on the property and the loading tab because we have not defined or specified any such information. But if I go to the geometry tab, we would see that there are a few information. The first thing that we see is the member number or beam number being mentioned as 1. We'd also see that the length of the beam is being mentioned, which is equal to 3 meters. You'd see the units has been specified here by the side, and also you would have the coordinates of the start node and the end node, and these coordinates too are consistent with this unit that has been mentioned here. In addition, there are a few additional tabs and information like the beta angle, the radius of curvature, the gamma angle, etc. And we also have 2 buttons called change releases at start and change releases at end. So we do not need to look at this for now. These are a few things that we would explain as we get ahead in our course. Now, let us close this beam cursor and we can take our mouse cursor over beam number 2 and double click on it, and it will show the relevant information about member number 2. Close this, go to member number 3, double click on this, and you would see that it will display the same information about member number 3. Now, let us find out the information about the nodes. So far with this member cursor and by double clicking on the members, we have found out information about beams or members. Now let us find the information that can be displayed about the nodes. But before we can do that, we need to change the beam cursor to the nodes cursor. And how do we do that? We go to the select option and click on the node cursor, and you'd see that this beam cursor now has an additional dot at its tail representative of the node cursor. Now we can take this node cursor to node number 1 and double click on the node, and you would see that the node query box opens up, which has the x, y, and z coordinates of that particular node. There are a few buttons that leads to a few tables, but we would not discuss them for now. Now, this is all about node number 1. Now we can take our cursor to node number 2, double click on it and get the same information. And node number 3 and node number 4. So regarding these various options that leads to various tables, we would be seeing them in our future videos. Now we will look into the options to display the node numbers and the beam numbers besides their respective entities in the modeling area or the viewing area. Now let us see how we can display the beam numbers or the member numbers besides their respective entities. So we again right click, go to labels and click on the beam numbers checkbox, click on apply and click on OK, and this would display the beam numbers on the screen. Now one thing that you might have noticed is there is a hotkey again that has been mentioned for the beam numbers, which is the letter B. So that would mean that if you press Shift and the key B simultaneously, it would have the same effects of going into labels and checking in or checking off the checkbox besides the beam numbers option. So let us close this, click on OK. Now let us close this. Now if you press Shift plus B, you'd see from the keyboard, that is, you'd see that the beam numbers have disappeared. Just do this again. Press Shift and B simultaneously from the keyboard and the beam numbers reappear. You could disappear the beam again by going into the labels option, go to labels and just deselect this checkbox, click on apply and OK. This would also make the beam numbers disappear. Now, if you are an expert user, you would not need to go to labels and check in the respective options. All that you could do is, if you could remember these various hotkeys that are associated with various operations, you can just press the shift and that hotkey to display the respective entity that you want to display. So if you want to display the nodes, for example, from the keyboard, just press Shift plus N, it comes up, press Shift plus B to display the beam numbers. I hope you have understood the various operations to trigger the various utility features that we had discussed in the last video and in this video. If you have any questions on this, please ask them in the comment sections below. If you have liked this video, please hit the like button and press the bell icon for more notifications from the Structural Insider channel. See you in the next video. Till then,